I did it.
Oh, you stopped recording? Well, it's not supposed to stop. Because when it stops, that's one entire file converted. So that means the class will be segments, not what's one entire thing. You don't stop recording. You just
Important. That's already gone.
oh, when did you stop? Swimming break.
Is it recording or is it?
It's recording. So on your breaks, that means they did about 15 minutes. They did about 15 minutes. They gave them about 20 minutes to read. That's plenty.
Yes. Kira, Lero, Ariane, are we all right?
Yes.
Are we through reading? Are we through reading?
Yes, I'm done.
What about you, Lero? Are you through, Lero? Not yet. Ariane, are you through?
No, I'm not done.
Excuse me?
I'm on the last page. I'm almost finished.
All right. You're making sense of the material.
Yes, it's loaded, so I'm trying not to go too fast.
Okay.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back. I'll be back in a few minutes. Lero, I'll be back in a few minutes. I gave her a document to be copied so that you can get a copy of that document for Friday's class. I want to ensure that it is done before the person leaves office. All right, so just carry on with your work. All right?
Beg your pardon, what did you say, Ms. Foster?
Oh, I gave a document to be copied for Friday's class. This will be copied and sent to you. So I want to ensure that the person has done it before she leaves office. So I'm going to
Okay.
it's done.
Okay, all right.
let's carry on with the work, please. Have it back. Thank you.
That's my word. We're not wrong.
Assuming you think it's very material.
Interesting enough.
Yes, it is very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, that one has disappeared. We are up onto the next break now. Yes? After the break, we hope to get into the discussion. Yes? So I hope that we're through and we can discuss. And I did collect the material. I'll be emailing you something tonight on this book. It's a monograph actually done by Beverly Brown, entitled Lectures on Language Education. Quite a light read, and we need this for Friday's class. All right, so I will email you something. If not tonight, sometime tomorrow you get it. All right, but you can go up to your next break and we will reconvene about, I know you're not finished, so maybe what I'll do is give you a 10-minute break during which you can kind of tie it so that we can get on with what we have to do. All right. Kira, are you there? Good. Lyra, are you hearing me? Lyra. Lyra is in deep concentration. That's what we call deep concentration. And Kerry is with me. Right, Kerry? You are. Yes, beautiful. Hi, Kira, Lyra. So we should be able to nudge Lyra. We're back, Lyra. All right, good. All right, let's start our discussion quickly because we have other aspects to read. This is just the first part. This is the longest part anyway. The other parts are pretty short, and this is where I wanted you to be working in pairs, but then the numbers here pose a problem for me right now because we only have 4 persons instead of the 9 that we should have. So we have to approach things differently. Let us begin with 2 words on page 200, the bottom of page 201, where it says, 2 separate and unarticulated systems of education were developing. We know now that Drayton is talking here about the elementary and secondary systems. But look at the words, separate, okay? So we can understand elementary, secondary, but why the use of the word unarticulated? What do you understand by that term within this context?
If I may go first.
Yes.
I think it means that there was no connection between both of them. One didn't transition into the other. So, for example, as in most of the West, there's no connection between the various parts. So, for example, there was that natural movement from the elementary into the secondary schools, which really was a different milieu, so to speak.
Yes. Something that we're more accustomed to the nowadays Caribbean region practice. Are you hearing me, Kira? You are with me, are you? Did
Yes.
you hear Fernand's contribution?
Yes, I think they were separate in the sense that their functions were very different.
Yes.
The elementary school education was basically to produce the lower class, the laborers of the society, the persons who would later move on to do the unskilled work. And then the secondary school education catered to the middle class, mostly boys, and they were the ones who were expected to take over to run the society per se. So they were the ones who were expected to go on to maybe university or to get the better jobs in the society.
Yeah.
So that their role was different in the society all the time.
So we can see a stigma already.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yes? Mm-hmm.
Yes, because if you came from, basically the elementary school was for the children of the Negroes. Okay, so if you came from a the elementary school, you were automatically a lower class citizen. You were automatically subservient to the person who came from a secondary school.
Yes. I want us to pay attention to the line there on Christian virtues. What is being implied?
And I think, right, that's why I wanted to look at the word unarticulated.
Okay, go ahead.
Because so they are separate, yet what is hidden in these systems, it's a method of control, as the article was ascribing to or implying. So whereas Brennan had initially said that they wanted to create a population, a lower class population that was Christian based, It wasn't articulated in the system that this is what we want, this is our function, this is what we're doing, right? It's almost as if they used education as a mask for what the ulterior motive was.
Yes, yes. And it would appear to me here that they are suggesting that the Black people are highly aggressive, highly impatient, highly dishonest, and certainly not an industrious lot. Because if they were deemed as being patient in all those things, then why teach them? Yes? So it would appear to me as if we were placed in a particular negative light as Black people, and those who accessed the other kind of system of education were from the middle class. And what constituted the middle class?
I think the middle class, it looked like the probably the sons of the white persons, the boys who were born, those who, the Creoles, actually those who were born in the Caribbean, but who were in the majority white people.
Yes. Yes.
And they certainly didn't need the Bible to control them because they were innately good already. Right. So they did the classical literature, they did they did everything else because it was assumed that they were, good.
Yes, yes.
And so you see the skin color kind of equated to a level of goodness, and being Black equated to being bad.
Yes, yes. Back to Kira. Note though, Kira, that not all these secondary schools were boys' school only. Yes? Some of them were girls' school, but you do have some that were boys' school only. And if you think of the Jamaican context, then schools such as Wolmer's should be coming to mind. Manning's should be coming to mind. With Wolmer's though, we have both a Wolmer's girls and a Wolmer's boys. So while we have Wolmer's here, it's two separate institutions. One for girls only and one for boys only. Manning, go ahead, Kira.
So do these schools date back to the period immediately following following emancipation?
Repeat, please.
Do the schools date back to the period immediately following emancipation? These two schools that you speak of?
Yes, they came about somewhere in the 1800s there. And they were what we call the grant-aided school, the government grant-aided schools. So the government would indeed pay salaries and so on, yes, but the school was quite autonomous, and we had many white people. As a matter of fact, I went to Manning's, that's down on the other end of the island from here, and Westmoreland. And I had a number of white teachers, a number of Irish teachers I had, yes? Although I didn't go to school back in those times, the fact is the stigma continued into the 70s. So many of my teachers of science and so on were from Ireland. Expatriate teachers, yes. And much of my content in primary school, which is elementary school, was really based on British readers as well. Yes, so when I'm reading a poem, for example, one of my lines would be, or the OER, or the hill and dale, you know, and it's said with great pride. I'm not too sure what that hill and dale thing is, okay, but that sort of thing. But my school was, what do you call it now? Both boys and girls went there, yes? We're a co-ed school. But interestingly, just before I got there, they stipulated the way in which the girl's hair should be combed. The hair should be parted in two. So you part it down the middle, on the back there, and done in two plaits with your ribbons. And the hat was perched on the top here. So what is that suggesting to you? If you do not have hair of a particular type, then it's being suggested that you don't belong there. You know, you're not going to get in because you must have that look. What about the St. Lucian situation? Are you aware of what obtained there?
I really cannot speak to that. I think by the time I entered secondary school, things would have changed a lot by then. I went to a girls' Catholic school, but I don't remember having those kind of restrictions placed on us. I know we had two of our teachers came from they came from England, some from Ireland, because the school was run mostly by Catholic nuns. But I don't remember us having restrictions as to the way we should do anything like
You're
that.
too young. You need to talk with the elders and take us back some stories, man. I am going to mandate you to talk to others before your time and to ascertain what has happened back in the 1800s, yes, in terms of the kinds of schools and so on that you have. Lera, anything to add to illuminate our darkness here?
Just when I read it, just with the idea of the middle class, I was wondering, when they spoke about middle class, are they speaking particularly only about a white population or a mixed white population? Because in teaching history, what you find is that, well, what I teach the students is that the middle class was actually made up of mainly an educated and wealthy colored class. So blacks that were free, but they were wealthy and educated. So they had purchased their freedom a long time ago and whatnot. Some say when we speak about the secondary schools being available to that particular, do they fall in that bracket? Or is it only the whites, those of the white families?
Thank you for that question. Carrie, do you want to answer?
Well, from the article, it said that there were a few blacks who, by virtue of scholarships, they got into the secondary schools, and I think that would inevitably move them into the middle class as well.
Yes.
So I don't think that the blacks were, it was a great majority of blacks who were part of the middle class, but there were a few of them who were a part of it.
Yes, there were a few. That doesn't say that there were a few who were so affected, who were so lucky to be a part of the elite system. Yes, but you can imagine it's mainly the brown, light and complected persons, and white persons would fall in this category. And please remember that brown people are still black people this side of white people. Yes, but then we understand from this article that from way back then, being brown puts you into a different class from being black. And that pervades until this day, isn't that so? Hence the culture of bleaching to put you up to a different level. All right. Now, what would we say? Thank you very much for your contributions. What would we say are the goals of the then elementary school? And by the way, in the 1900s, they were called elementary school, Yes, they were called elementary school. In America today, they're known as elementary school, but we have them now known as primary. Yes? So what were the goals of the elementary school?
The elementary schools were designed to produce laborers, to teach the basics of education, reading and arithmetic, but more than likely the emphasis was on the Christian virtues of patience, obedience, honesty.
That's right.
In other words, it was more directed to, but this is what we call it, more directed to vocational skills rather than academic accomplishments.
Okay, thank you. And what about those who escaped and became educated, more educated than the rest? What happened to them?
Are you referring to the persons who had gone to the elementary school or those who were able to access a secondary school?
We are looking at the ones who have left the elementary school, who have done very well and so on.
Well, they became pupil teachers
They became
in primary schools.
But
and a small number won competitive exhibitions.
I wonder if you smiled the way I smiled when I read that. Because given the goals, given the curriculum matters, those who excelled in the elementary became pupil teachers. What are the implications? I'm always looking for implications, you know. What are the implications for teaching here? They became pupil teachers. How qualified are they? Totally, yes.
Well, one I'm thinking that I'm going to go that is pupil teachers. One, they don't become teachers, they become pupil teachers. So they think that they are still
pupils themselves.
Right. And forward pupils.
Yes.
And also they would have perpetuated because they would have been graded at the top of the group, so to speak, for want of a better word, according to the requirements of the curriculum, which was English based and direct and oriented in a particular way.
Yeah.
So having mastered that, then they would, their body of knowledge that they would now want to deliver would be a regurgitation of the same.
Yes, because I'm not sure if I would want to use the word mastered. They were the highest achievers, not sure about mastery of the language, because I'm going to direct you to page 204. Look at, let me see if I'm on the right track there, page 204, the first paragraph. This language policy was imposed that the first sentence, yes, in that first paragraph. This language policy was imposed on a population who spoke Creole, and as is evident from many education reports, some of the teachers also spoke little else. I do not know to what extent there's a correlation between the pupil-teacher competence, but what we do know is that it's obvious that the teachers at that period there, the teachers were not very competent, it would appear, in English either. So it's a vicious cycle that we are coming across here. Let's go back to page 202, where we are looking at the secondary system now. What's the nature of the teaching of English at the secondary level? Carry on. Carry on, are you hearing? Carry on.
Well, is she there?
Let's carry on. Carry on.
Right, sorry, I'm hearing you. I just had to flip back.
Oh, okay.
For secondary language, they focused more on, well, yeah, they focused on grammar, rhetoric, eloquence. They use classical literature in their school system as well. And they focused on more than just the basic reading and writing from the Bible. So they focused more on trying to make them intellectually sound. While it was more privatized, I'm not looking at the article right now enough because I'm on this screen.
Okay.
So I'm just giving you a summation of what I got.
Okay.
Let me go back.
All right.
2, 3.
All right. They had great autonomy, no? You said more privatized. I do not know that the elementary were at all privatized. They're under strict control, but the secondary were at greater autonomy. Yes, Brandon, you want to take up from where Karen left off?
Right, so
Okay,
the
let me
secondary schools, there were three, so there the material that they could use. Certainly they would have been trained the same things, so they're probably focused on the same general curriculum, but they could use additional school books. They could, you know, look at their students and decide that, you know, we're going to focus on this as against that particular topic. So the strictures were far more relaxed.
Yes.
As when compared to the
Yes, yes. So there's a huge difference there. Let's move on to go over to page 203. We looked at a part of it earlier on, so we don't need to go back over that. But let's go down to the middle. The following extracts. Having read those extracts, how do you respond? Maybe start with Lyra.
Which extracts exactly? The quote on grammar?
Yes. We have the one on grammar, and we have another one about verbs. Still grammar, but don't do that.
The one on the verb? A verb is a word which expresses?
It doesn't matter, I'm looking at more than one. So you can make reference to any of them there.
Okay. Well, I'm realizing that the approach. What was the question? Sorry. What did you say about?
I'm asking you a response to the contents here, where persons are the school system had a focus on grammar.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm realizing that yes, as you said, grammar is the main emphasis of the teaching of English. This is what they identify as the key approach to the teaching of English. They have a quotation here on the verb, the description of what a verb is and why grammar is so important. It is the art, the science of language and the art of speaking and writing. Personally, I do not agree with this based on the courses that we have that we have gone through. Because what grammar does is that it allows you to gain a mastery of the language rather than the acquisition of using the language effectively. So I don't even know what.
It's grammatical competence that they are looking at and not language.
Yes, that's right. That's what they're focusing on, and not communicative competence. Yes.
All right. Look at that. Look at that definition of a verb. Nowadays, people are saying, teachers are saying a verb is a doing word, although that has limitations, yes? Because it's not exactly so. But look at what they have back then.
A verb is a word which expresses in which state or posture the noun is, or what it does, or so. Wow, I didn't even read that.
Imagine that. And remember, these are people who know not English, yes? And these are the definitions with which they have to grapple. So is it then surprising when later on in your readings, you come to realize that there was a level of pomposity, there was a level of verbosity? Yes? So people became malaproxy to the pair. Yes? As long as they're using a couple of multisyllabic words here and there, yes, then you are regarded as being very educated. But then it doesn't mean you're using the words in the right way, that the sentence is not making sense, but your vocabulary is on display. Yes? To what extent, though, are we recognizing this behavior nowadays?
Ms. Foster, could you repeat the question, please?
And I'm putting to you that back in those days, the speaker who uses a number of multisyllabic words, whether they're in the right context or not, that person was regarded as being educated. Yes, that person was lauded for being educated. And I am now asking you, has that changed today?
No, it has not.
Yeah.
I think there's some resistance to it.
Okay.
Especially because of the globalized culture that we're in. And we have not just the British Standard English, but we have American English. And we see a shortening of words per se and text to a language. I don't find that students want to use big words at all. They would rather write a LOL than a highfalutin word. Yeah, so that's what I see. I see a changing or somewhat of a resistance to these big words and trying to shorten it.
Okay. For St. Lucia, I don't know if Kira will agree with me, but persons who are deemed to be educated, well, I'm just going to give the example of the politicians. When they do their campaign speeches and other public speeches, it is usually this is what signals them, and everybody, even if half of the crowd cannot understand the words that they are saying, they clap and they cheer and they jam, or they have a great time, because the use of these words, these multi-syllable words and these big words, bombastic words, according to what the article said, shows that they are educated and they come from a high class. And I don't teach English in my school, but I think it's something that it still perpetuates, because the teachers, in speaking to them whilst I was doing a past assignment, when I was asking them what are some of the problems that they usually experience with the students, a lot of them mentioned to me that the students lack a vocabulary, an extended vocabulary. They have very simple words. They don't know how to, they don't have a wide vocabulary that they can use other words, bigger words, and this is something that they really try to implement in their teaching. So I think it still perpetuates, maybe not as much as back then, but it still exists in St. Lucia today.
Kerry, do you want to take anything from Lero and revisit your thoughts?
In terms of the teaching, I don't personally do it in terms of asking students to put in a big word, but I have seen cases like that. But in terms of Jamaica and the politicians, I don't find them using, I don't know, I don't watch politics a lot, but they try to use the Creole language to the masses, because I think they're trying to appeal to the masses more. Even in Parliament, they use the Creole. I don't see the highfalutin language in Jamaica much. But I may be one-sided.
I'm sorry,
okay.
Please. You're finished. Okay, thank you. Hero, you were signaling as if you wanted to share something.
Yeah, I was thinking that in St. Lucia, when we have the politicians using all the vocabulary that the average person doesn't understand, it's more like to show them that, look, I am educated, so I'm the man for the job. Or almost sometimes it's almost like to trick you. I'm saying these things that I may not exactly be the truth, but the way I'm saying that you will understand what I'm saying. So when they do use Creole, it's when they're trying to be on the same level as the voters. But when they start using all the bigger words, it's when they're trying to put themselves apart from everybody else.
Yes, because when they use Creole and so on, sometimes they even put on a straw hat if they're going down to an agricultural belt to identify with the people. That's a propaganda technique that they're using. But I'm thinking of more sober contexts where language is used. I'm not countering what you have said, Kira. I'm just adding, I'm just trying to nudge Kerry into a way of thinking as well. I don't want to say too much before Vernon makes his contribution. Vernon, do you want to address anything that Kerry said about the Jamaican context? And we have a classmate who has come in, we will soon acknowledge her appropriately. Go ahead, sir.
Right. I think there was a time when that kind of pomposity would break out in our language, and part of the platforms that has diminished somewhat. Even our politicians try to be fairly simple in their language, and there's more focus on words of affection, which are fairly simple words to communicate. So I think our language has more gone to a simplicity rather than pomposity. But it's still, I suppose, in the rum bars and in some of the pulpits, well, at funerals, it's still impressive, but otherwise, other places,
Right. Let me ask you this. Think of the election period, and I'm now going to equate it with happenings in St. Lucia. Think of the election period. Think of the most outstanding comment that has been made against our own Prime Minister. What is it that people say about her? And then again, before you utter a word, think of how our former Prime Minister Golding was regarded by the masses. By virtue, we're not talking about any court cases and so on, extradition cases. We are talking about his ability to speak. How did people regard them? And even now, people will cast aspersions on our current Prime Minister. What are they really saying? Gary, you're smiling. Talk to me, please.
I don't think it's the fact that she doesn't use big words. I think it's the fact that she doesn't pronounce the words properly. like you can hear the deeply Creole accent embedded in the language, and people want the accent with it.
I think it's more, I think it's not the fact that she seems to, there's an equation of her use of Creole with lack of education. I think a lot of times when she uses English, she's trying to communicate meaning in English, but you know that really she seems to be thinking and talking Creole. So it's almost as if we could what is being said in this article. That really what is happening is that the English is being placed an overlay of Creole meaning. And that's really why it comes across that way. When she's talking Creole, you can't watch her. She connects instantly with the crowd. When it's alive, it's expressive. When she goes to the English, and the standard English, it's wooden. She struggles with it, it doesn't come across. The meaning, there's no meaning come across.
Don't you think that Prime Minister Golding, former Prime Minister Golding, received much accolade because of his use of language?
Well, I think all of the other prime ministers that you know about have received accolades because of their use of the standard language. The our current prime minister seems to be a standout in terms of not meaning that.
Yes. And that is what I'm saying. When it comes to very serious situations, yes, who is really acknowledged? Is it the person who speaks English well and drops in a number of multisyllabic terminologies over someone who can't do that? Yes? Think about our own Tivoli inquiry in Jamaica here. I don't know if youth solutions are privy to this, yes? That when we had our, well, we're still having it now, the Tivoli inquiry. And when we had KD Knight, the notary attorney, and when he used his special terminologies, people were glued to the television. I think people just went to the television to learn a word or two. People used to talk about the use of words. Yes, we can't deny that, yes, we have technology causing us to, you know, use some abbreviated forms and so on. But listen to me, when you go to interview and you start using a couple words, you're very bright, you know. You're very bright, yes? So in serious context, there's still that pocket of resistance.
Okay, I recant my view.
I don't want to totally recant because what they're saying, but we must also recognize that when it comes to very serious matters, words count. All right, thank you. Maybe we should now recognize our classmate around here.
Good evening.
Right, good afternoon. Sashona Miller, I know that name somewhere right here. All right, Sashona Miller. So I have to write that here. Oh, I didn't not go for Brennan. All right, beside Brennan, I write that down. All right. Were you the person who sent the message that you'd be a bit late? Did you send a message?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for sending your message. And I sent you an email. I hope you accessed it.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Let's move right along, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, there is that little hilarious piece on page 205, where Bell noted this satirical use here of the language and so on. You can enjoy that some other time. Let's go to page 206. the first paragraph. It tells us something about the first method that was used to teach English. The middle of the first paragraph. I read there. Page 206. The first method was dictation. Are you there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
The first method was the dictation, and the second was memorization and reciting aloud or writing from memory of poems and speeches. Vernon, did you have to do any of these when you were a boy?
I did a lot of recitation, and straight enough, I think it worked my benefit. I think it helped me with the facility with the language and maybe meeting new words that I would have done otherwise.
Yes, it's very important to recite.
Right.
My mother, she's recently departed this word here. My mother, when she was going to school, way back, she used to be given some 26 stanza poems. Yes? And she had to commit to the 26 stanzas to memory. Well, I can assure you that 50 years after, she still remembered 13. And they were all, remember, British poems. Hailing the Queen and all these things. Yes? Okay. So remember now they said that we should swear allegiance to the our British Empire and so on. Oh yeah, so those poems made sure they carefully selected what they should study and so on. But let's look at the method itself. I wonder if a particular B word came to mind when you saw these methods. There's a B word, behaviorism. Are you familiar with it? Behaviorism. Yes?
Yes, John Dewey.
Oh yes, oh yes. So these two methods here are rooted in behaviorism. Of course, while there are other theories that have come forward and we're now into constructivism, the truth is that, and I hope that as teachers of English and as persons who are reflecting on what you are reading, you'll realize that behaviorism has not really been fully thrown away. You know, I hope you have realized that with each new theory, often when you look, you'll find aspects of a former theory in it. Yes, because I am sure that dictation has not been fully flung out, but it is couched within something in constructivism. It is telling us that, hey, there is a time when we have to stop and give grammar some focus here. So in your communicative language teaching, yes, it doesn't mean that we do not focus on grammar. I hope you're remembering that. It is just that it is not being done in isolation. And when you do aspects of dictation, I want to tell you that it helps with punctuation. You know? It helps with punctuation. It helps with capitalization. So the mechanics benefit from dictation. But this was a different kind of dictation because it's not that there wasn't a constructivism in those days. It's just a matter of you getting it right. Write it back the way in which it was intended, or else you're out. Okay? Let's move over. Page 207. And we're looking at the first paragraph. The first sentence. Vernon, please read that aloud for us. 207, first.
The focus so far has been on English teaching in primary schools because this is the heritage that is blamed for the problems and dilemmas of present day English teaching.
Isn't that focus still on today? Isn't there this focus on primary and to a lesser extent, well, equal extent really, early childhood, but they're not making a distinction here because early childhood, a part of early childhood is still a part of primary as well. Yes? But there is this focus today still. So what is really happening in our systems? What is there change really taking place? Or are we keep asking the same question over and over as the decades pass? These are questions that you should be mulling over. Go down to the final paragraph. We are talking about the second period in the teaching of English, the 1945 to 1965, and it says the belief that English was the mother tongue continued to be widespread during this 20-year period. Do you have that saying over in St. Lucia, ladies? That English is your mother tongue?
Well, English is considered the first language of St. Lucia.
That's
So,
right.
based on whatever is written in law, I guess, but in actuality, it's the second language of St. Lucia. Because 100% of the, well, not 100, maybe 95% of the population speak Creole.
Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting.
And to what extent does that sort of thinking hamper the teaching of English, the appropriate teaching of English? Because we must understand that the way in which we teach is related to politics. Yes? We will embrace certain methodologies. We will embrace certain theories only when the political directorate flies the gate. Here in Jamaica, we have been embracing constructivism. Although constructivism came about in the 1970s, became more popular in the 1970s elsewhere, it was not until in the 90s that it started to get some traction in Jamaica. And I would like for Vernon, we're not going much into this now because there's a place for this later, but Vernon, you're teaching at a high school. Do you know if the teachers there are embracing the Rose curriculum? You're a teacher of English there at times, yes? So talk to us about you and the Rose curriculum.
I think I met the Rose curriculum in 96, 97. I was at a high school where it was brought into play.
Yes.
Since then, I have not seen it actively mentioned. But then in the department, I'm thinking of at least 3 schools that I've been to since then.
Yes.
It has not been mentioned in department meetings, it has not been brought in as a matter of, say, lesson planning.
Yes.
It is not being used as a resource guide. So if it is being used, it's being used indirectly and unconsciously.
All right, then. All right, then. Karen, you're down in the west. Other side of the west, what's happening down there with the Rose?
I have no clue. I teach a private school, so we don't use the Rose program.
Don't use the Rose program at all. Oh.
No.
Okay. And how is English language viewed in your school in terms of this mother tongue concept?
Well, um, again, it's a private school, so a lot of them don't come, they come with English as the mother tongue. But I have had instances where students from, let's just say, from the other parts of Jamaica, and they come with their Creole speaking ways, and the administration and the other teachers, they react negatively to such a student, right? It's not, it's always like a bashing, making the child feel inferior to the others who are speaking English. So I find that our attitude towards Creole, it's really negative in Jamaica, and I see it a lot at my school.
Because English is their mother tongue.
Right, because they are from the upper class parts of society.
Wow. All right then. So we just went through some heavy stuff because the reading, I find this reading pretty interesting. I hope you all, Vernon was enjoying his reading. And sometimes you'll be bursting out with a little laughter here and there, and I was wondering if he was getting crazy or what, but I was happy that he was enjoying class. Now, the next section here is going to be, I had intended for it to be a fear, but it's not going to work out that way because we don't have access. We have not yet downloaded this Skype, have we? We don't have any of these facilities, it would appear. All right. So what we have to do then, we are going on another break now. And then when we come back, I'm going to ask you all then to take on the second tranche from 1945 to 1965. That will be from pages the bottom of page 207 over to 212, I believe. Yes, so 212. And we will look at that period. Has anything changed? What has changed? What's the impact of this change? Yes? So go stretch your legs and get back in another 5 minutes, please. Thank you. All right, we're all back again. This time around, we have to read a little more quickly because we want to, one of you guys here, now you hear me wrong? Yes, beautiful. All right, we want to read a bit more quickly this time because I would like to be finished with this document. We're not going to read, we're going to read right down to page 216 actually, but I just wanted to do it in tranches. So when this is through, we're going to have a PowerPoint that wraps up, and I want to speak about the assignments. Yes, so we want not to take too much time here. So I'd just like you to run through this in another 15 minutes, maybe we could be finished with this. Finish the other tranche in another 15 minutes and so on. All right? Finish reading Leroy? Are you through reading Leroy?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Thank you. Kira, are you through? Kira, are you through reading?
No, I'm not.
Okay, where are you now?
I'm actually on page 211.
All right. So you should be able to speed read in 3 minutes. Terry, are you there? Terry Ann?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm through reading.
All right, thank you, Vernon. All right. So Kira will get 2 minutes to finish up. All right, let's go. I wonder the more things change, the more they remain the same here. What did we find happening in this 20-year span? Creole is regarded as a degenerate form of English. By the way, Sashana, Creole is a degenerate form of English. What's your take on that?
I would agree with the statement because I think most of the words that we use in Creole, they have their English base and backgrounds. So I think it's no, that's thinking about it though. Degenerate is a strong word.
Okay,
It's a strong word.
yes.
I wouldn't use degenerate, but I want to agree with the statement somewhat. Because most of the words that are in Creole are not entirely foreign words. I know it's mixed with African and Spanish and rarely a little French.
So it is English based.
Yes, it is English based.
Not a degenerate form.
Yes, I don't want to say a degenerate form.
Why do you think the term degenerate was used?
I don't think that the term degenerate was used. I think it's based on history. That's how I would put it.
The word degenerate is based on history?
No, I think they use that. All right. For example, the historical factors that played into formation of Creole. I think it was a language that the slaves had used firstly to try and establish their own form of communication, you know, the planter class knowing or being able to understand them. That's what I'm getting from it.
Oh, but don't confuse Creole with pidgin.
Pidgin, okay.
Yes? Yes, Vernon.
Well, one they use degenerate reflects the Englishman's view of Creole, and by the way, I think we have to keep in mind that there are different Creoles. So you have the French Creole, for example, as in St. Lucia, and the English Creole as in Jamaica. But it will reflect the Englishman's view of the Creole that is spoken, that it is in effect an imperfect form of the language used by a speaker who is trying to arrive at the standard but has not yet gotten there. So to me that really reflects. But what came to mind while Sasha was speaking, is that I somewhere along the line I learned that the Creole is really a language by itself. That is that its own structures and so forth, and that's stuck with me. And so to me, I see it simply as an equal form of expression as the English language. As Afrikaans, which is a mixture, the South African Afrikaans, which is a mixture of Dutch, English, and African languages. And that's about the Creoles that are official languages, the Haitian Creole. So to me, I see it as an equal and important language. But Creole speakers live in a global context and they need to be competent in all the forms of languages that they use. That's what I think.
All right. But you see, in these days, the powers that be did not yet benefit from studies in linguistics. That was not a part of our academic world as yet. Yes? Hence, and remember that these terminologies or these expressions are cut from the inspectors' reports, and these are usually British inspectors' reports. British inspectors who do not know the language at all and do not regard it as a language. Yes, Karen, you've been trying to say something.
Right. I wanted to mention the previous part of the article where it had spoken about the English language being able to give power, that it gives power, and that it says gives power, and right. So it was a powerful language. It was seen as the language of intelligence. So what I see here, them using the Creole language, it's like a degenerated power. You don't get any power using this language, and I think they wanted to highlight that in order for you to become socially powerful, politically powerful, economically powerful, then you would need to use the English.
Yes, the word civilized is used because English language is a tool of civilization. Yes, and it is to be used to civilize individuals. Yes, and so when you do not have that facility, then you're not civilized at all. And that's what they're talking about here. If you look at 208, the middle paragraph, provides us with some statistics. And in St. Lucia, they say you're 95, back then 1983 was really 25%. They, what was it, Elaine? Yes, Elaine and Carrington did an estimate of 25% of this St. Lucian speakers who use Creole.
No, I think it says 25% solution speakers use English.
No, man. English is a second language for them.
That for 25% of solutions, English, so that means 75% would be using Creole.
Now look at it. Elaine and Carrington estimate that for 25% of St. Lucians, English is a second language. That means English is not their first language. Whatever that other language is.
Okay, I understand.
Are you seeing that? The penultimate sentence in that middle paragraph.
I find that figure kind of hard to believe that in 1986, only 5% of solutions had English as a second language. As if to me, it has always been the vast majority of solutions had English as a second language.
Yeah, but then that's research, and so another person, but two persons have posited that this particular figure, but that's research for you. Someone else can go in and do a longitudinal study with a wider population and possibly come up with a different figure. Who knows? This is 1983, but just bring it to your attention, yes? For Trinidad, they said only 15% spoke English. So that means we have 85% who are speaking some form of Creole there. In Dominica, 25% were monolingual Creole speakers. Yeah, so it's not even a case where, because remember, you have the bilingual case where you can speak Creole and English or whatever, but this is strictly monolingual, 25% of the population. That's a large figure right there. All right, to the point where even their motto was in their Creole. Yes, their French Creole. This is important stats here because I do not know to what extent it has changed now. I do not know what the recent figures look like, but considering that they have not yet found the methodology that seems to work very well for us, then we can imagine that this figure might have increased. Maybe it's not drastically going down anywhere yet. All right, now let's keep moving over to page 209, top of the page. The second full sentence, or the first sentence, second sentence, during this period. So they're increasing reading and writing, huh? Remember on the front part, their writing was a little scarcity here now. So we are now going to improve by including more writing and reading. And they got new readers. But who was the original audience? Was it the West Indian students? It's the British. Their first language is not our Creole, so there we go again. How can the problem be made, be lessened rather? How can the problem be lessened? We are still not getting something right. And there is this focus on grammar. We are talking about up to 1965. Because you see, all of this period was still rooted in behaviorism. That's how it worked, strictly grammar. Yes? So you would get a sentence, I here. I have asked, where are you? I am here. You should be able to repeat these things. Yes? You're filling the blanks and so on. So here we go again. Same problem. Then they now put in intelligence testing because they're trying and they're trying hard to improve students' English performance. They're trying from a non-Creole perspective. Yes? And so they're going to now put in an intelligence test. And the norm group seems to be the British again. And so I don't think Barbados would be happy to hear this one. Look down at the last paragraph, what they said there. When they matched up the Bayesian students' performance against the British student performance, the Bayesian was way below where, where they expected that Bayesian to be. So underperformance, they are looking at. And we went on to say, well, look here, University of the West Indies came about 1948. So if for all historians, if you didn't know, now you know. And it came about as a school out of London. It was attached to the University of London. All right. And it is through the founding of UWI that we had now this focus on language teaching, linguistics coming up later on. And you can do your own little private readings there. We learned that the first symposium, whatever, conference was in 1964. All right, and we move right along. We're talking about external exams, GCE. You don't know about GCE, do you? You know about CXE. Isn't that true, Lyra? I did GCE.
Yeah, my mother did GCE.
So we had to do the prayer, the summary, the comprehension, and we had to write our essays. Yes? And do you think that these were marked in the region in the way this is marked now? They were sent to England to be marked. So when you pass English, you know that you must be reasonably good. Yes? Because you were being marked by the British themselves. And this section spoke to a number of initiatives, education initiatives, all of them coming from England, City of Gills, and City of Gills is still with us now. Yes. Is GCE being done at all? I've not heard it being done. We still have some.
They do the IGCSE.
Oh, okay. Spanish Language GC? Oh,
no, I didn't go.
okay. It's a secondary school certificate. That's a Ministry of Education, but that has been replaced now. CXC has one now. I'm trying to remember the name of the CXC. There's something to that effect. Yes, that has replaced the SSC. Yes. Okay. Right. Okay. And so I sat the O-levels, but I did some exam in Form 4 as well. There's a lower level one that we can do in Form 4. But the truth is that when all our students get to 5th form, even though you have passed the subject at the lower level and 4th form, you are going to do over that paper in 5th form because that is the one that was really respected at that time. You know, it's like it's tantamount to getting a 3 there in 6, you you want to up it up. So we tend to do over this thing in 5th form. But then there are number of, it's Vernon. It's not a number of, you are the literature person in the room here now. Kira and you, all right then. Who was it? Kerry? You are the lit person?
I wonder why Vernon pointed me out.
He's a snitch. That is it. All right. Notice what they have said on page 212, Vernon, about the teaching of literature. And it still obtains even today in some schools, you know. The bottom of the first paragraph, the bottom of the first paragraph there. Some of the newer secondary schools did not initially offer English literature on their curriculum. It still obtains in some schools right now.
Well, when I went to my school, I was the one who initiated.
All right. And on top of that, it goes on to say now that different teachers were appointed to teach language and literature. To an extent that is not as prevalent as before. It still exists, but it's not as prevalent as before, where one teacher teaches language and that teacher does not teach literature at all. That's why Vernon wants to step in, you know. Vernon wants to make them see literature as quite a privilege here. So come on, step up, get it done. but then Vernon, there is a move now for language and literature to be twins. Yes, there's a move because we have what is known both in literacy and in language teaching. We have what is known as the literature-based approach to teaching. Yes? And when you think of the whole piece of genre analysis, have you done that in your area? Genre analysis? Have you heard the term?
I've heard it.
Yeah. Where you, if you want students to write a narrative, yes, then you bring examples of narratives for them to analyze, for them to look at the structure, for them to look at the language and so on, you know, the writing techniques and so on. Yes. And after that now, then you go into the process of writing. Yes, but the process by itself with our students who don't want to read sometimes don't make sense because where's the content to come from? Where's the know-how to come from? Yes, so bear that in mind. But just to point out to you though that in those times, the teacher of language was not necessarily the teacher of English, all right? And note that interesting sentence after, the role of the teacher as a culture broker. Do you see who you were back then? Yeah, did you see that one? The role of the teacher as a culture broker, that is something where they are looking at, yes? So it is the British culture that we here ought to be using on our children because it would appear as if, remember the degenerate form there? Ah, yes. So we want to get off the D, generate off the D. All right, and we go on down to the bottom half there where it's points out that in the mid-70s, we had the 6C coming on board to help in curriculum development. It was also instrumental. We have the Joint Board of Teacher Education that maybe persons didn't know, but Joint Board of Teacher Education is an arm of the University of the West Indies, yes? And they are directly responsible for overseeing the curriculum offerings at the teachers' colleges. Even they are the ones who will for example, when you set your question papers for exam purposes, then you have to go to a meeting of all the colleges, yes, right here at the Joint Board, right, for a vetting of the questions. And then when the exam papers are sent down to the colleges by the Joint Board, and when you're through marking, as the lecturers are in the colleges are through marking, then the papers are second marked by persons operating on the Joint Board. So there's that strict oversight body for the teachers' colleges. All right? So we learned that things are changing by the end of 1965. Let's now go to the last tranche from 1965 to 1985. And this is very short. We should be finished with this in very short order because we're going to stop on page 216. We are not going to go beyond that, but we are going to need this document for later on in the course when we return to look at 6. All right? So just quickly for me, please, read this part. See if you can wrap it up in 10 minutes, do some speed reading in 10 minutes. On page 213 to 216. Look. 3 more minutes, ladies. We should be able to finish reading enough to share. All right, let's go. So at this stage, we are now an independent nation. We're an independent territory. We are now supposed to be able to make things happen for us because we now have the wherewithal to control what we are doing, to direct what we are doing, to create our own materials and all this sort of thing. What has really been happening during this post-independence period? Carrie, you want to begin? Carrie's a deep reader. Carrie Ann. Carrie Ann. She's not in this world. Did you hear me, Carrie Ann?
Yes, I heard you.
All right, then.
Well, I don't think much really changed. Well, there was an influx of Caribbean literature, but not much in terms of training the teachers in terms of how to use it. So while researchers recognize that there was no cultural competence in terms of in the students' work, they still did not find a way or the perfect way in which that they could make that cultural competence and teaching the teachers to show the students how to essentially gather that. Close that side.
Isn't one of the problems teacher language competence?
Yes, well, yes, that continued as well. The teachers did not know how to teach English.
And that just did not know how, yes, but their own linguistic competence had come into question.
Into play.
Yes, yes. You know, I did a small scale research in a primary classroom. I'm trying to remember. This was 2003. I wanted to ascertain the language use between student and student, student and teacher. And I found that the students, and this, by the way, this is a primary school that was in close proximity to an inner city. So we had a number of inner city students there. But I find that the students were more competent than the teacher. And the teacher on that day was doing some translation exercise. So the students would be hearing some folk songs in Creole, and they, you know, spoke about the meaning and so on. They even acted out some of it, and then they were to do the translation. But as the students were engaged in discussion, they said something about the many types of music or different types of music, you know. They were doing some great synthesis in that grade 4 classroom. And the teacher, in agreeing with the students, said, oh yes, the music's them. No, the music's them. St. Lucians, when we want to pluralize our nouns in Jamaican Creole, we do not touch the base noun, but we insert the Creole them, and it becomes plural. So we say, instead of saying the boys, we say the boy them. All right? So the teacher said, the music's them. So she pluralized, put an S onto music, which she should have done. And she inserted the Creole marker, them, but with English phonology, them. And that was English for her. And throughout the lesson, there were many times when she was aspirating. So she would say, head. And those decent children would say, egg, miss. Oh, yes. And the teacher said, yes, head. And the decent children would say, miss, egg. That's right, the egg. And the children gave up. Yes. So we have, when they talk about teacher competence, it's a serious thing. And then we must also remember it's a vicious cycle, because where are the teachers coming from? They're coming from the crop of Creole speakers. And we see the kinds of teaching to which they were subject. And so we, how can we blame the teachers here? We can't. Yes, we don't even have good, what you call them now, a good program, whether in schools or in the Ministry of Education, that target teachers and their language competence, because it is an issue. When they leave college, they can leave with a C or a C- grade, you know. Yes, they have barely passed English, and yet they're expected to go out there and to be able to use it proficiently, and there is no provision made for after college care. So we are caught in a vicious cycle. And then, Kerry, if we look some more, we really have quite a few, for want of a better word, lapse. Because we found a number of problems cropping up, Bernard. Mm-hmm. We don't have a clear language policy. We did not have one up to the 1965-1985 period that reflects the needs of the Jamaican students. Do we have one now? No. We have a draft policy that was drafted from early 2000. It has not yet been ratified. Last year I heard talks of it being revisited. But up till now, I have not heard anything. I do not know. Maybe the financial pressure has kind of eased that aside. I don't know. The draft of that policy now involved even Beverly Bryan from the University of the West Indies here. It involved quite a few stakeholders from the ministry and some teachers. And it's a good, have you ever met it? You have not met the draft? Yes. Okay.
The first I'm hearing of it, but I have not seen because it's this, those
Yeah.
reference policies.
Yes. Because this text here speaks to that as well, where we have policies being drafted, materials being drafted, yet the practicing classroom teacher is not involved. I would have to look back at it to see, sorry, who are some of these persons involved, but I thought you would have been exposed to it. I have an abridged version of it, and I could actually send you all, I can actually send you all this abridged version of the language policy, yes, so that you can speak to this thing. You ought to know it, yes? It has some good ideas there. All right. Let's go down to the bottom of page 213, where Pollard, she's a past lecturer here too, revealed that while there is much research, it is not getting out to the people who matter. You know, it's not getting out to the general population and the majority of teachers, because here it is, you are not ignorant of the language education policy. I remember one PhD candidate who is operating out of the University of New York came to interview me at work. She was sent by the university to come down to speak with me. And she said to me that she was happy to speak with me because she has been speaking with other colleges and they have not been exposing their students to the draft language education policy. So, and that's a serious thing because this policy speaks to how you treat with the use of Creole in your classroom. Yes? Because we have many teachers who are still coming from the behaviorist, trained in the behaviorist mode, and who passed on their perceptions to others and are very influential. So we need to really understand what's happening here. Over page 214, towards the middle there, we have already looked at, and this part here speaks to the practicing teachers not having a voice. But there are also some bits of information that will make you smile, because look at that middle part. There's an ironical statement being made there, where the curriculum, there's a curriculum developed here. It was a good and potentially useful document, yes? But in the next 4 years, it was to be seen on the top shelves in head teachers' rooms, gathering dust. And that was not all. Why was it developed? It seemed as if it was developed not for so much for implementation, but as evidence to the World Bank that here we have developed something. We need some money to put it into effect. So it was carefully done and carefully put aside. Yes, waiting for some funds to come in. Interesting. Then we go down to the other paragraph, and we can identify with all these things here, but this is something that we could have written ourselves. Because here it is, there's a foreign exchange issue going on. So how will we be able, having developed material, how can we disseminate what we do not have? We do not have it because we don't have the funds to get the materials. So we don't have sufficient number of books. We need a foreign exchange. But we also need a foreign exchange in the West Indies to buy food. We also need it to improve our health care. So it seems as if the purchasing of textbooks in sufficient numbers is not really a priority in the scheme of things. Isn't that something? Let's go over to page 215. Here we have another project. And by the university, because as you remember, university was established in 1940, so the university is now going to feature because the university is the leader, yes? So university is going to call on colleges and wherever funding agencies and so on, international partners to help. And so there was this particular project, and they said it went very well, but what happened when the funding ran out, or not say run out, but when they're through, because remember, when you seek funding, it's for a particular period of time, sometimes, many times for a 5-year period, anywhere from 3 to 5 years. What happened? When the project ended, the university made no proper arrangements, as our university made no proper arrangements to publish and disseminate the material, and it's not hard to find any of it. From all accounts, it seemed to have been something that was workable at the time. Let's go on down to the next paragraph, to the middle of the next paragraph. Here is it again. UE is teaming up with lending agencies and teachers and so on. And they say to develop a test. Let's look at what they have in the middle there. Karen, you want to read that middle there for us? The kind of testing. Are you seeing that? Carrie Ann? Now, where is she? Carrie Ann, are you in another world?
No, I'm not. I'm using one device, so I have to go back and forth.
Okay. We're on 215, page 215.
Okay.
The middle of page 250, the middle of that middle paragraph, the sentence,
okay.
Like, the kind of testing which would.
All right, 215 middle part. The kind of testing.
Are you seeing it?
Yes, okay. The kind of testing which would have established the value of the materials was not done.
One moment.
Since pilot schools.
One moment. So here it is. You have developed something for the language arts. You have the materials prepared. You launch it regionally. Yes. Yet, the kind of testing which would have established the value of these materials was not done. So how can you know the value of the project? Testing was never done. So that's one problem. Keep reading.
Since pilot schools were used, it would have been possible to do a longitudinal study, monitoring students in control schools and comparing them with those in pilot schools. But this was not done.
Here we go again. So how can we decide on the efficacy of the project? Keep on reading.
Another problem was that it had been thought that each subsequent year would be built on the preceding one. This did not take account of teacher dropout in all the islands. In Belize, whose special language problems were noted by the Moyne Commissions, the project led to the establishment of a TESOL, Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages unit. The UE.
Okay. That's enough. Let's go on to something good. But there it is. We are playing with several problems because it seems as if we have a planning issue. So when we come up with our initiatives, somehow we don't think about sustainability.
Could it be? Oh.
Yes.
well, I find the problem with our political system, where one party may come in with a really good idea, but then because of political expediency, when the other party comes in, they do not follow through on that idea, and it really upsets me because they can have some really good ideas, you know. Who will now allow them to follow through?
So we see the connectivity now. Politics,
Yes.
the teaching of English. There is a definite connection. Yes. All right. And we go on down to the final paragraph on this page. And they say some of, we're talking about the English language textbooks. And they say that some of these take some account of new ideas about the teaching of English to Creole speakers, but most were written for examination purposes, it would appear. Is English teaching all about examination, passing an exam? Are we encouraging rote learning, or are we encouraging only academic knowledge? You should be thinking about this as teachers. Should we be going beyond? And these same textbooks did not have the instructional manual for teachers to help teachers how to impart. It's simply the text and questions. You know those textbooks, right?
Right.
So, teacher's manual is always with the American one. So there is where our problem lies, yes? And we go over to the last point here now, page 216, second paragraph, towards the middle there. Graduate secondary education, we're talking about, we're looking at the issues here. And they are pointing out to us that we have Teachers College being responsible for primary education, elementary, but not secondary education. They say this was definitely a practice of the British. Where for secondary education, it's university that you go to, not the Teachers College. The Teachers College is for lower level, yes? And so we have a little problem going on with us. But remember, this is up to 1985. Yes, other things will happen that we can add to it, but we are looking at our background. Now, I'm going to make a little shift. I want to bring to your attention, this is not what I want to bring to your attention. What did I do here? I want to do something else. Yeah. And this PowerPoint is only about 6, I think it's about 6 slides. Just to give you an overview of some of what we have read here and some of what is contained in King. Remember I said that I sent you King? Yeah. And so you will read King on your own. It's a nice light read. And there are bits of information that I've come across in here as well. So you can just go ahead and read with great ease. Are you all seeing the PowerPoint? You're not seeing the PowerPoint, Lero? No. How come? It says stop. Let me try something else. Stop sharing.
It just came on a while ago, but you took it off.
I didn't hear you.
It was on a while ago, but you took it off.
Okay, let me put it back up and see what
Okay.
happens. It's on.
It's on. Yes.
Beautiful. All right, good. So I would invite you just to quickly read through what's there, just to bring it all together for you. So you see your black people being in there somewhere in the mix there. Give me the thumbs up when you're through reading. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Nothing there that's problematic, yes? You're identifying with what you're saying, are you? You're not understanding what you're saying? You are. Okay, beautiful. There's all of this we came across. Do we understand the multi-grade system? With it, that? This you would not have come across it here. Karen, are you familiar with multi-grade schools?
Yes, I think I know of them. Is it one where you have varying classrooms in one?
Yes.
Like one big section, but it's just like a chalkboard that separates them.
Sometimes you don't even have chalkboard. Sometimes it's a back. You turn your back and that's a class. Yeah. Yes. Leroy, do you have multi-grade schools in St. Lucia?
Yes, we do.
Oh.
Especially in the primary schools, the numbers have gotten really low. It's in certain rural areas, so they have to implement the use of multi-grade classrooms.
Yes. Ours are to be found in the deep rural areas.
That's what happens there too. Yes.
Yes, okay. So you understand the concept. In those classrooms, you have to practice differentiated instruction. Are you familiar with that expression? Yes.
Yes, we are.
Keep on reading. The last one still happening. Tension between the ex-slaves who wanted academic education and the planters who wanted practical schooling for them. So hold on.
If you listen, not only to the instruction,
yes.
But if you listen to the JCC and those groupings in society, they are talking about vocational education.
Yes.
But they send their sons and daughters to
elsewhere. Sometimes elsewhere overseas, right?
Burn up in overseas, but even in other words, when I was at Pullmas, I met quite a few. The name would bring up instantly.
Yes. Yes.
And the emphasis, we couldn't even suggest that students here should focus on vocational education.
Yes.
Seeing, other schools. I'm just using that as an example.
Yes, I understand. Yes.
Can I say something with regards to that same thing Vernon just said?
Yes.
In St. Lucia, what they have moved towards is universal secondary education. So every child goes to a secondary school now. But as the years pass by, more and more, we're realizing the need for a move away from that and the need for the government to implement some vocational schools, because they tried doing so, but they turned them into secondary schools when they implemented universal secondary. And it's really sad. A lot of the students fall through the cracks. those who are just not academically capable, they just fall through the cracks. They do not complete school, and it's a mess.
I don't think the problem really is with universal education.
What is it?
What happens in the primary schools? I think the children lose them from the primary school, so when they come to secondary schools, they're still not equipped. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters if you put them on a purely academic track or you try to include some vocational studies in their education. I think for the primary schools, they're not taught the basics, so then they come to the secondary schools totally lost.
Okay, well, I disagree. I taught in a primary school, so I know what it's like, but there are students that are, okay, well, we learned about the different intelligences. There are students that are academically inclined. They will pick up something quickly, they will do it. And others, maybe it's something with their hands, maybe they will draw well, and it's just that the children are born with their innate abilities in whichever part. And you know, whichever one that they are more geared towards, that's the one we have to push them towards. And if the children are not academically inclined, push them towards something else, because at the end of the day, it was for them. I think the primary school teachers try their best, but there are just some students, it's just not them. It isn't.
I think when a child enters secondary school, it's too early to decide already. You should be doing vocational or you should. I think that is just too early.
We can't hear you unless she's not seeing me well. We are not hearing you well, Kira. We're not hearing you.
Sorry, I was saying that when a child enters grade 7 in secondary school, I think that is too early to have decided that that child is supposed to be on the vocational track. I think that comes later on in secondary school. I don't think probably maybe around grade 9, grade 10. But to say that, okay, from the primary school, we see that you are not academically inclined, so it's sending you to vocational school, I think that is too early. It is too early for that.
Yeah, you're thinking it's early for that to be detected.
Can I say something?
Certainly.
Is it that we're looking at vocational skills as some degenerated form of academic?
Exactly, I agree, because I don't think it should be looked at in that way. Right, that is it.
Hey, we are learning, we are losing of the college game. All right. Well, who knows? Maybe from as early as primary school, we can channel them into some, not that we are substituting academics for, but we can channel them in that direction as well, because maybe too, considering that students are more hands-on, yes? Students nowadays are pretty hands-on, Maybe it is through those same hands-on vocational subjects that we can get them to learn language well, the concept of language across the curriculum. All right, let's go on to the next slide. I think what's it when you read King's Will, I think, yeah, just preempting some of King's information. King focused on the elementary school. So if you do well in English, the school is doing very well. Oh. Are we through? Beautiful. And that's it. That's it. All right. Just to point you to the thing that you want to know about the most, the assignments. You have your outline already, and on the outline, most of your readings are really online, yes? that which I sent you are to be found on or daily. All right, I just didn't trust the system because I haven't gone in to do some changes as yet. I couldn't get in. So you are now going to be the lucky ones to have it in both your email and or daily. Isn't that lovely, Sashana? Yes. So we have the topics there to be covered. Remember that we only have 8 contact periods. Now we have 7 to go. The next time around, we're going to be looking at the language teacher, which is Friday, goals and expectations. Read Brian for that. And I may send you a couple questions to guide your reading, yes? And I'm going to send you a task. I'm going to send you a task for your presentation, and you will need to work together. So you need to maybe find some contact details for somebody so you can Skype or whatever. You're not going to sit and look pretty like this all the time, okay? All right, and the assessment, you have 2 pieces, and one is 20%. Notice I push them down to the end, hoping to give you time to do very well, because as a student, I know that I didn't like anything below A. Yeah, so I know that teachers love that, and all students should. It shows that you're ambitious. Nothing is wrong with that, you know. So the first one is your individual task, and I have attached a detailed description and the parameters in which you work and so on. How you get to the 1,800 words, what you need to do, it's all set up there. You have choice of books down the bottom there and so on. And that is due August 7. The other is a collaborative curriculum guide. Now, it's supposed to be a peer task, but we will have to maybe redefine the word peer in some contexts because we have 9. So that is something else to be sorted out. I don't know if there's any addition since. I don't know, it's only 9, and I'm looking here and I'm only seeing how many of you came out today. 5? 5 of you are out here today, so I'm not sure what is what, but it's a collaborative effort and you're developing a curriculum guide. Now, you also have another sheet that describes in details for you what that is about. You have to read it very carefully, it's detailed, all right? There is a grid on or really matrix that you will use with this assignment. So it will tell you this, you know, it's headed up the theme, the activity session and so on, as you know you use in a unit of work, all right? So it is there for you to use. And the details are all here. You have to put in serious work for this one, all right? Have you worked in peers before? Never?
We have that group work.
You have worked in groups?
Yes.
Not peers, P-A-I-R-S. Never, right? Well, I will have to, know that I know the numbers, I will have to, by Friday, I'll be able to tell you whether I'm going 2 or 3. 2 is the one that makes better sense, but there's that one person throwing in a spanner into my works. So by Friday, I will tell you whether it's 2 or 3 persons. And all you will need to do, you need to, all 3 of you from very early, over the weekend, I would suggest you get in touch with each other, having read, get in touch with each other, find out, yes, flesh it out and see what aspect, you know, each person, because we are all not doing the entire paper, but the parts have to cohere, can't be disjointed, yes? So you'll have to really think serious. It's a 15-week unit of work that you're actually developing. All right? Any questions? All right, it was my pleasure this evening.
Miss Foster,
Yes,
I didn't. What exactly are we paying up for?
repeat that, please.
You said that we need to work in pairs. So I'm asking what are we going to pay up for?
Okay.
Is it the curriculum assignments?
Oh, pair. Yes, for the curriculum assignment. Yes.
Okay, all right. Just the curriculum assignment only?
The textbook evaluation.
The textbook evaluation is an individual exercise.
Okay, all right. So it's just the curriculum. All right.
Yeah. All right. Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
you're going to put us into pairs, St. Lucia, Jamaica, or St. Lucia, Jamaica, Jamaica?
I would want, first of all, I am saying to you that there are 9 persons. That does not help me at all when we're thinking of the word PAIR.
Right.
Right. So I am going to do a little consultation and see if 3 would be okay.
Okay.
One moment, yes. Yes. Oh. So she, oh, so, yes, she is here.
There's also another student, Darnie. She lives in Oakville.
No, I don't have it. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, on tomatoes, yes.
Yes, she is going to some difficult times now, so she will be able to make it to us.
Oh, dear.
She finds time.
Not ever for the summer, right?
No, not for this course.
Okay, okay. So, we haven't heard from Patrice, neither Ashley. No one has heard from Ashley or Patrice, right?
What's the
Clark? I see an asterisk beside this person's name. Don't know why there's an asterisk there. And you don't know the name, do you?
No.
Okay, oh, that's interesting. Well, all right. So you see, I really have to. So then at the end of the day, we would have Ashley is Mona. Yes, okay. Ashley wasn't here, but Ashley's the one who's I think you're spoken about Ashley.
Sunday is the one is Sunday is the one who's
No, when you came in earlier today, was it Ashley? Oh, okay. Well, I suspect Ashley may be coming. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's something that will make it appear. No. The location, yes, the location will be problematic. What I'm going to do, I believe in democracy. I believe in democracy. So what we could do is allow you to make the decision, yes, as to who you'd find it easier to pair with. Because it doesn't matter to me with whom you pair.
It's possible to find out the first